Hey guys, I have excellent news. Apparently Assassin's Creed Shadows is an incredible success. I know, I was amazed too when I saw this article from The Gamer a few days ago. Mario Kart World, Oblivion Remastered, and every other game released in 2025 has been outsold by Assassin's Creed Shadows. Amazing. Just incredible, guys. I mean, this game has been an absolutely scale-rupturing success, and only the chuds would deny it. Or has it? Okay, I can't keep this tone going for much longer, guys. I can't even do the whole Vsauce thing for much longer because the song is copyrighted. But we're still going to have a few good jokes here, you know, because this article is actually totally genuine, and we will have a few laughs along the way.
It's me, a Tony Pepperoni! What was that? Say some racist jokes? Okay.
No, not like that. Take it easy, okay? Let me at least have one of those fancy YouTube plaques for my wall before we go down that road. What I meant is that the jokes are going to write themselves today. You might be wondering what the hell is going on. How could this be when we've actually had some games come out this year and do some really good sales numbers, while in the meantime Ubisoft has been sinking, got some of the most important chunks of themselves cut out and sold to Tencent, and their market cap is still not looking so hot. Well, you've come to the right place. We're gonna go look through this article and find out, but spoilers ahead of time, it's fiction.
It's false. No way. Not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction.
This article itself doesn't even provide a single inkling of data. I had to go look elsewhere. This was rushed out the door by someone who didn't even bother to look up any sources or data. They just wanted to get the word out that Assassin's Creed Shadows is the best-selling game of 2025, even though that's a massive goddamn bowl of baloney. What this really looks like is yet another attempt at manipulating data to make Shadows look exceptionally well, just as they tried to do a few months ago in April. So let's just get in there and go through it, but before that though, I'm sorry, but thanks to YouTube's stupid changes of late, I gotta do the YouTuber cringe thing of asking you guys to please like the video so that it doesn't get buried by the algorithm. You don't gotta do it now though, just keep it in mind, and along the way, if you find yourself enjoying the video, hit that like button, maybe even drop a comment. Now yes, let's get in there. You guys are going to love this useless ass article. I really hope they haven't updated it since I first saw it. I wanted to finish my Veilguard video first, so I didn't prioritize this, but when I first read this, it cracked me up because there was no data at all. It even referred to a list, but there was no list in the article at all. It's just, hey guys, Assassin's Creed Shadows has outsold every other game this year. The source is, I made it the f*** up, here are my credentials, thank you for following the best top news in the games industry, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. So let's see what they really had to say. 2025 has already been a huge year for games with multiple heavy hitters selling millions of copies each. Mario Kart World, Monster Hunter Wilds, and Split Fiction have all racked up huge numbers. However, none of them has managed to outsell Assassin's Creed Shadows. Oh, this is gonna be good. That's according to data compiled by the GST and shared by the game business, revealing that, as of July 28, 2025, Assassin's Creed Shadows has been the best-selling new game of the year in Europe. And that's despite Capcom confirming that Monster Hunter Wilds has sold more than 10 million copies, and Mario Kart World likely having sold close to 6 million. Now fellas, from what's stated in the article here, you know, especially in direct comparison to Monster Hunter Wilds' over 10 million copies sold, doesn't that make you think that if Assassin's Creed Shadows is outselling them, then that means that it's selling more than 10 million copies? But don't worry about it, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. Let's get back to the Assassin's Creed Shadows is outpacing every other new game sales so far in 2025. These are numbers based on Europe alone, of course. Despite Monster Hunter's growing popularity, it's probably safe to assume the bulk of that 10 million sold were to fans of the series in Japan. Europe is still more than enough of a snapshot to be accurate representation of how games are performing worldwide, though. Why the fuck would we need a snapshot of anything when we know that around July, Ubisoft came out in late July and said that they had 5 million players, and Capcom came out and said that they have 10 million sales. So what the are you talking about when it comes to a snapshot? You don't need a snapshot to compare these two games. We already have solid numbers, although Ubisoft is not really a solid number because it's players, but we'll get to... You know what? I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let's take it easy. That's where I'm stopping with this article. There's a few more lines of aimless, bullshit monologue that goes nowhere, and a total lack of actual data. No sales figures anywhere, no revenue figures. Where's the money, LEBOWSKI? No nothing. Just a mention of a ranking list somewhere, but no list in the actual article. So right off the get-go, I smell bullshit, and it's very easily disproven, even though absolute morons on social media ate it up, of course, like our boy Synth Potato here. We've talked about this dumbass before, and I suspect we will again, because at this point, it's just a hallmark of his and other accounts just like this one that exist solely for hyping garbage up, with no actual work put into anything, which means that they're even worse than the game's media and their access situation. Full video right here, by the way, if you're interested in that. I'll put a link in the description and top comment. Assassin's Creed Shadows is officially the best-selling new game of 2025 in Europe. Never has there been a more fake outrage than what was around this game. The sales truly proving that they were just a loud minority and most didn't even play video games. Good game overall too. Excusez-moi, je smell the bullshit coming from you? Fake outrage? Are we seriously already rewriting history? It's only been a few months, my friend. This game got the attention of the Japanese government over so many continuous blunders that misrepresented and disrespected Japanese history and culture. While in the meantime, Ubisoft themselves were noting accuracy as one of this game's main selling points. This game got a self-appointed historian, Thomas Lockley, disgraced. He was disgraced so hard that he dropped off the map after admitting that he made shit up about Yasuke in his book that they used as a basis. Filling gaps with fiction, presenting them as facts, and editing Wikipedia pages to make it look real when it wasn't. Among so much more garbage, so much more shit went down. Like it was every week there was a new episode of a Spanish novela called Las Tonterías de Assassin's Creed Shadows. And that's just the history and culture stuff. Then there's the actual game itself, which is not good at all. It is the weakest Assassin's Creed game of all the recent ones. About the only good thing it did was actually letting people move with agility and parkour again, at least while playing with Naue. In everything else except visuals and weapon customization, oh, and also in the new stealth mechanics, like being able to go prone and stuff, that was nice. But in everything else, it failed in comparison to their previous work. Story, writing, and presentation has gone off the deep end, combat lost complexity, variety, fun factor, and impact, general open world and gameplay design has edged closer to a live service model, which has gone to impact the one single feature that these Assassin's Creed games had going for them when it came to sticking to their gameplay loop in the open world, which was their progression and the ability to actually complete content. All of this was gone, all so that players could keep grinding shit endlessly. All this and so much more is covered in my breakdown of Assassin's Creed Shadows, where I focused on nothing else other than the game itself for 2 hours. No controversy, no culture war, no nothing, just the game itself with comparisons to previous titles I spent hundreds of hours on, proving that Shadows is the worst of the RPG games in the franchise. Hell, here's some clips from there showing you guys how ridiculous things get. See for yourselves if you want to. I'll leave a timestamp for you guys to skip ahead if you're not interested. Anyway, long story short after meeting these monks, you gotta go to a couple of other places to get more monks as backup. Then you guys meet outside the castle that you're supposed to assault. Sounds okay so far, doesn't it? Well boys, it's about to get really good. In this scene you get to watch cringe, storytelling, stupidity, bad acting, and the terrible quality of facial animations all at the same time. It's a 4-in-1 deal, just like our shampoo, bathing gel, shaving cream, and lighter fluid. Am I right, boys?
I considered giving up. But we are here because of her.
It is not too late to turn back.
Promise me, Plum. She's just a child.
I failed you.
No! Let them suffer. Let them die in pain.
No, we fight.
My brave Sohei! Oda Nobunaga has brought us to the edge of extinction! Wada koreta! Friends! To push us over! Tonight, we end the destruction! We succeed! Or we die! Fighting!
Look at these dudes. Look at him over there walking in slow motion. Oh my god, how is this the garbage that you're creating with hundreds of millions of dollars? So let me get this straight. First, we're outside of a castle, and we got like 10 monks at most over there. The castle has high walls, and the fucking doors are shut tight. Then, the plan was that these morons would raise a ruckus, and Naue would be able to use that as a distraction to sneak in, and let's just appreciate the beauty of the scene. We are outside of this castle. A castle. The little chubby Chubs asks Naue if she's sure. You get a little audio memory flashback to that cringy ass scene where they leave Naue and her dad alive, and then Ubisoft kicks in this epic music theme like, oh fuck boys, here comes the payoff, what we've all been waiting for. This dude starts giving this speech, hyping up his monk homies, again directly outside of the castle that they are meant to be keeping quiet in. No guards come out to check out what matter of fucking cringy yelling is going on outside and why, and then you get this epic moment. Oh man, I mean, Jesus Christ, just look at this frame. Look at this frame. Pure cinema. Look at them walking in slow motion across the little bridge over the moat. My god, oh fuck, one of them is even whipping out his sword. Look at him whipping out his sword that he's going to have to put back into the goddamn scabbard because they either have to push the door open or they have to climb over the wall. What the fuck is he gonna do with the sword? Is he going to hit the fucking door with a sword? I fucking can't with this game, guys. Then the scene fades to black, and bam, you're back in the driver's seat, in control of the character, and somehow you're all inside already. How the fuck did we get through those doors or those high walls? Who the fuck knows? Where are the guards that are supposed to be guarding that entrance? Who knows? Why didn't any guards hear that racket outside? Who knows? Why didn't they get into position with bows and arrows and guns and completely decimate these fucking morons showing up with no shields, no ladders, no nothing? Who knows? Hate Zambro, stop hating. Maybe they didn't have arrows or something. Okay, fine. Where are the guards mounting a defense by the door and by the wall regardless? How did the doors open in the first place to let all of these monks in? Who knows? Where did all these monks come from? They weren't in the scene before. Who knows? Why are there guards fighting with monks outside the castle? Why are they outside the fucking castle and inside the entrance at the same time? Who knows, guys? Who the fuck knows about any of this? It doesn't matter, boys. This is prime tier, quadruple A writing and directing. Just shut up and consume product, and then wait for expansion of product and engage with the e-store with the $20 cosmetic packs and the single-player battle pass to hold you over with monetized content until next product. And if you guys think that I'm bullshitting misquoting you and just taking like one bad scene from the game to try and misrepresent the whole. I am not. This garbage that we just saw and the other cringy scenes with Yasuke's intro or the Quentin Tarantino moment are what are far more representative of this game. This is what Ubisoft has to offer with Shadows. In fact, want to know how is the DLC quest that they locked out only for players who pre-ordered this shit? I'm gonna try to find some footage of it, but if I fail to find some, I'll describe it either way. So the quest is called Thrown to the Dogs and stands as an example of how vapid this game is. They cut this thing out to create fear of missing out and get people to pre-order, but then there's nothing to miss out on at all. You go to a random grave and you find a dog there. The dog is wounded. He barks at you like, "Hey yo, follow me, dog." And you're like, "Aight." So you follow the dog and you come across some bandits on the road. You beat the bandits and then you keep following the dog. You come up to a farm. You talk to some bitch who hurt the dog initially. You get to pick whether to attack her or to let her go. And then while in the farm, you go around and you look for a key that opens some loot that belongs to the man in the grave that you found the dog at. So you look around and you find the key, then you run back to the gravesite and the quest ends. Your reward is that you get the dog added to your hideout. Congratulations, dumbass, you just got fucking scammed. And we're back to the shit show, so let's see what else he's got to say. Sales proving they were just a minority? What sales, brother? We still don't have any actual sales data. The updates we have on this regard was in the last week of March, Ubisoft announced the game had hit 3 million players with a total of 40 million hours played. Players meaning both sales of the game and people playing through their $18 subscription service, which do not count as sales. But morons like this and the media love to misconstrue both of these and use them interchangeably, even though they're not the same thing, not even close, with a subscription providing only a fraction of the money that Ubisoft would get with an actual sale. We know how the industry is. We know they need as much money as possible. Hell, they're trying to kick up the prices to $80. So how the fuck is an $18 subscription supposed to be equal to a $70 sale? Do they not teach common sense and math in Shill School? 3 million players and 40 million hours played also came down to a pathetic average of around 13 hours of playtime per player. Obviously meaning some would have more hours in it, like me for example, with a depressing 80 or 90 hours of them or whatever it was, and others would have even less than 13, pretty much dipping into the game and getting the fuck out of there as soon as the intro is done. They explore a little and realize how devoid of fun the game is. Then the next update after that was coincidentally in July too, same time this data was pulled, and Ubisoft announced Shadows had hit 5 million players. Pretty goddamn depressing fall off there, only amassing 2 more million players in 4 months. I mean, it's not that 2 million is anything to scoff at, it's just that it shows how much the momentum died. But oh yeah, no, totally, this was just fake outrage produced by a minority for the best-selling game of 2025. Let's just cut the bullshit. I think that at this point, it would be pretty charitable to say that Shadows has like 4 million actual sales at best, if not less. The game isn't a flop in the common sense of expecting a game not to sell. Of course Assassin's Creed games are always going to sell. There's a whole market of normies out there who aren't keeping up with what's going on in the industry and who buy these anyway, either for themselves or their kids. Especially as time moves on and the prices go down. Like the price of Shadows has already dropped significantly where I live. You can pick this crap up for like $50 on some stores already, and it's only going to get lower as time goes forward. Just is what it is. It's kind of like Call of Duty. However, it is a flop in the sense of what a flop is supposed to be, which is a product underselling and fucking up its own company, which Shadows absolutely did. Veilguard was a failure too, for example. EA themselves admitted it, and yet it still sold 1.5 million copies by January. If we take this number and we give it to another game like Expedition 33, it's a great number. Flops and failures are relative to what we're talking about, and relative to Ubisoft and to the size of the goddamn Assassin's Creed franchise, Shadows is a goddamn failure. I used this example before, but it's kinda like YouTubers. If you take a YouTuber with 1 million subscribers and a YouTuber with 10,000 subscribers, and you have a video with like 10,000 views, it's great for the YouTuber with 10,000 subscribers, but it's kinda shit for the YouTuber with 1 million subscribers. And if Shadows really wasn't a failure, Ubisoft would have already told people how many actual sales they had next to how many players they have have in total across the subscription services, just like other companies tend to do. Whenever something sells well, companies love to come out and say it. They love to report that shit, you know, get their investors to see it like ho 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 money, but instead they just blurb out how many players they have based on subscriptions and activations, and the media does the rest with disingenuous articles like these, or like this one on screen right now from PC Gamer, directly using Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's 2 million sales and misconstruing them as players to compare them with Ubisoft and make both of these things look like the same thing when they're not, because KCD2's 2 million were actual full sales, not players, no subscriptions, no activations, no nothing else, just pure sales. And this is a theme that we keep seeing over and over again when it comes to Shadows, media outlets and now even analysts doing their utmost to make this game look good, literally manipulating language and now data as well to do so. It's blatant and it's laughable because of the gymnastics that they have to do for this. They can't just compare raw sales data because they know that they're fucked if they do. After all, Monster Hunter Wilds hit 10 million sales, and at the same time Ubisoft merely announced 5 million players. Even if you do the little abracadabra turn these players into full price sales trick, you still end up short by a lot. So they have to introduce a bunch of parameters that are done specifically to make Shadows shine. Let's go over it right now. Getting the data for whatever the fuck it is that these people are yapping about was by far the hardest game of cat and mouse that I've ever had to do since I started making videos, even though obviously I'm not exactly a sleuthing channel, so it's not really a surprise, but at the end of the day, I didn't even end up finding it anyway. Like, I still have no actual data, no actual numbers. All we still have, no matter what article I go look through, is a ranking list. We still have nothing from Ubisoft, and as far as I can see, no estimations either, like that other analysts tried to do for Avowed earlier this year. And then to the layman, it's like, oh, okay, wow, if this list is true, then it means that all of these games ahead of Monster Hunter Wilds, which is only at 7th place, ended up selling above 10 million copies because, oh, that's how much Capcom has reported. So I go ahead and I use Grok to give me a goddamn hand and find some of this obscure data because I can't find anything no matter how hard I Google. So I just ask Grok, hey jackass, has GTA 5 sold over 10 million copies in 2025 alone? And Grok is like, whoa, what the fuck are you talking about? It's been reported that GTA 5 sold 5 million copies this year alone, but not 10. And at that point I was even actually impressed for a second because damn, can you imagine still racking up 5 million sales 12 years after launch? GTA is a freaking money printing machine, man. But anyway, if they only sold 5 million copies, how the fuck are they ahead of Monster Hunter Wilds who sold 10? And that's of course already taking out the obvious elephant in the room of these morons carrying on even in August to completely lie to the public by misconstruing player numbers from Ubisoft's subscription service where you pay a fraction of the money to play their garbage. And actual sales, actual individual sales of the damn games at $70, which is what matters most and is the fucking language that these parasites use when making reports like this. Not enough people called them out for this, and you know one of the problems why is because of team sports, where people don't mind being lied to so long as it suits them and it's about a game that they like or want to support. It's fucking ridiculous. They never clarify the difference, they misconstrue. They want you guys to think that this game really is that much of a success, and Ubisoft totally isn't sinking and is actually soaring through the skies with a big bag of money from, apparently, gazillions of sales. So many gazillions that they can't even put out any concrete goddamn numbers. They didn't even mention the 5 million players in this thing, because it doesn't suit them. I mean, how could you? How can you say that Game A has 10 million sales and Game B has 5 million players and somehow Game B is ahead of Game A? Hell, maybe that's why Ubisoft hasn't reported real sales numbers yet. Maybe the number is so big that it literally crushes the pixel density of our screens. If someone else reports on this and finds the numbers, let me know. I'll be very curious to see them because for the life of me I couldn't find them. These outlets just wouldn't give them up and eventually I lost my patience. But back to the thing. So how could GTA 5 sell 5 million and be ahead of Monster Hunter who sold 10? And how could Shadows be ahead of both of them? Well, that's where these fucking special special filters come in at. The same special little filters that Mike Piscatello, or whatever the fuck his name is, who was referenced in one of these articles as a source for how Shadows was a top seller in the United States back in April, was using. I covered this whole thing too back in, I don't know, June or so. It's this video here. I'll put it, the thumbnail on the screen, and I'll link it in the description, top comment with the other one. What they did to paint Shadows as a resounding success at that time was to be extremely strict with filters that basically took out every big major release from the running by limiting the data that's being counted to just be about these specific 3 weeks, and also just physical copies. 3 little weeks where its major competition was Atomfall and Kazan, 2 small-time new IPs, and then a bunch of stuff whose names I don't even remember anymore, but I listed them all in that previous video though. The same shit is being done here again. I don't know what exactly those filters are yet. I know that they're limiting the count to Europe, for example, because it says at the top that it's the top seller in Europe, but there's a lot more going on underneath the surface that has me extremely skeptical, and for good reason. You see, because on one hand they're like, well, here's the data, and oh, this data is very good because physical data comes directly from the retailers, same as it was with Piscatello back in April with the sales in the US, and digital download data comes directly from the publishers. But the goddamn publishers haven't put out any precise data at all for some of these. I mean, some do. For example, Expedition 33 has announced that they sold 3.3 million copies a few months ago, and yet you see this quote right here. As a result, sometimes a big game ends up missing from the chart. For this one, you'll notice LEBOWSKI Expedition 33 is not in the top 20, nor are Schedule 1, Repo, or Peak. I don't know about Schedule 1, Repo, or Peak, but I do know that Expedition 33 absolutely did share their sales numbers. I mean, of course they're not fully updated by now because it was a couple of months after launch, but the goddamn data was there, and the update would only mean even more sales by now. How can this game be scrutinized like, oh no, we can't use this, there's no data, the data is not enough, we cannot assess this game with this data. But fucking Assassin's Creed Shadows does when there's no data of sales at all, ever? We got a magic figure up in the air of 5 million players and we got no fucking information of how many of them are sales, but we're using it anyway? Why does the media keep fucking with Expedition 33 lately? I don't get it. But anyway, so the thing is that this says it takes physical and digital into account, but then again, digital comes from publishers and most publishers keep their mouth shut, so how is this taking that data into account at all? Like, I'm sorry my brother, but I don't like warped data. I don't like filters on top of more filters on top of more filters done purposefully to make certain fucking games look good. And it's the second time this year that this GSD thing does the same thing for Assassin's Creed Shadows. Do they have a direct link? Is it in their best interest to make this game look good so Ubisoft stops bleeding money? Because I can't understand the situation in any other way. I can't understand how a game that sold 10 million copies this year sits at number 7 on this chart, and the fucking game that sold 5 million copies sits at number 3. And then a game that didn't even sell 5 million copies and merely announced in July that they reached 5 million players, which again are not sales, somehow gets placed in number 2 on a fucking chart that's supposed to be counting sales data from the fucking retailers and the publisher. I'm sorry fellas, but I don't like this bullshit. I don't like being played for a fiddle. I don't like warped data. I don't like game journalists and data analysts to throw sand in my eyes and push fanfiction novels about game sales. This shit is warped to all hell. I don't know how many conditions and filters are running behind the scenes here in order to make this look the way that it does. All I know is that it's not presenting a picture of reality. It's clearly happening just as it did in April. They take the data, they don't manipulate the data itself, the data is there, but they manipulate the circumstances with which you read the data, which back in April was designed to exclude both Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds from the competition. Literally, boys, it was designed to make sure those 2 massive games did not count, and again, it was retail only, and only in the United States. But then, when they come out and write articles about it, they do it like this. Oh, Shadows is outselling them all! And everyone buys it because it's coming from official games media outlets that normies and morons like Synth Potato are either unaware of or okay with the fact that these outlets are liars. They never write down the conditions with which the data was read. They never specify that they're contorted like hell just to make a game look good, which coincidentally, oh I'm sure it's just coincidentally guys, just so happened to be, once again, Assassin's Creed Shadows. We are witnessing peak bullshit. The numbers just don't add up, and honestly this is beyond cringe at this point. Like, motherfucker, just show the data, you know what I mean? Keep it simple. Why the fuck are we having to dance around with filters just to line the numbers up in a certain way that allows for a list like this to be composed? Just do it raw. Just give it to me raw, man.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
The numbers, I mean, not like that, just the numbers, give me the numbers, give me the sales data, and if you don't have any, then do an honest estimation with the player numbers announcement that they did. Not this, not contorting data to fit a narrative, like why are we dancing here? Like just give it to us as it is. What the fuck is this ballroom dancing bullshit with these numbers and filters, trying to finesse them in some way or another so that you can come up with headlines like Assassin's Creed Shadows is the best-selling game of the year. This is so goddamn dishonest, man. Anyone who looks up individual sales numbers on some of the games that we've gotten the information on will immediately get red flags going off in their heads, but to those who don't, this is just terrible and exists to misinform them, to make them think that this piece of garbage is the best game of the year. That's all this is for, misinformation, and for those morons who weaponize shit like this to push narratives of failed-ass games to look like successes just for the sake of the culture war. And, of course, for the sake of trying to get some investors to be misinformed as well with irrelevant-ass data like this, where it's like, hey, between the full moon cycle in the lunar widget flux of 23rd last seed and the 50th of the first thaw, Concord was the best-selling video game of the Mercury retrograde period. Okay, but what about the actual sales data? It doesn't matter. Didn't you hear me? According to the elliptical transformation codex established by the High Moon Marshals of the Venusian Vale, Concord was the highest grossing video game between the astral confluence of 65 and the stellar nexus point of 89. It is actually incontrovertible, and only a loud minority of chuds and grifters would deny this. And then there's people out there who have the gall to look at channels like mine and just go like, oh, you're just a grifter. You're not trustworthy, you're just a grifter. I actually trust in you. Like, seriously? The game's media, the news, are literally dancing around you, okay? They're doing the fucking tango around you, okay? They're over there and it's like, you know what I mean? You know, all that bullshit around you. You know, with all this bullshit data, and you're trusting them. You're actually trusting that. You're going and saying, these people here, the media, totally not have any agendas at all. I actually find them more trustworthy than the average person on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, listen, it's just, at the end of the day, you know, you have to understand that, I like to be treated like a dumbass, and nobody does that better than the media, so... Which leads me to the next point, Copium. As a response to this whole thing, I've seen people continuously bring up the Europe, it's in Europe part, as if that did anything? I mean, you guys saw at the beginning in the first article, it said that even though these are numbers based on Europe alone, Europe still happens to be more than enough of a snapshot to be an accurate representation of how games are performing worldwide. They want you to believe that this is a representation of the reality worldwide, like a general thing. And so, according to this list, which we still don't have any solid data of, Monster Hunter Wilds sold like ass in Europe. Again, apparently. Because I don't trust any of the data they presented at all. I mean, how could I? They lied before by manipulating dates so that they could run the headline saying that Shadows was a top seller in the United States. I'm sorry for repeating the same thing again, I just want to make sure that people know exactly what I'm talking about. And now, it just looks like they're doing it again for Europe. But anyway, according to this, Monster Hunter sold like ass in Europe, but Assassin's Creed Shadows apparently sold like hotcakes. And Europe is a great source to make an accurate representation of worldwide sales. But we actually do have figures for both of these games worldwide, and clearly Europe offers a terrible representation of reality. Because the reality is the opposite. Again, Monster Hunter has 10 million sold copies and Shadows has 5 million magical players. That shit is off by double the amount, more than double. So who cares about this Europe thing in a chart whose rankings make no sense and offer no palpable numbers? The cold hard fact is that yes, Europe usually is a good measure for how games are doing in general worldwide markets because we got a good healthy gaming market just like the United States does. But not when you're fucking around with data filters like this. With this manipulation running in the background, it just isn't really relevant. And Europe is not speaking for the general state of these games' total sales, as it is clearly visible by how Monster Hunter Wilds, whether Ubisoft Online like it or not, totally eclipsed Assassin's Creed Shadows sales. Then others look at this and say the same thing that they said for Black Myth Wukong last year, which is to take Monster Hunter's 10 million sales and go, oh, that's mostly just in Asia, that's mostly just Japanese sales, it doesn't matter. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? What are we talking about? Why doesn't the Japanese market matter? Are their sales worth nothing? Are they subhuman? I don't understand where this is coming from. The yen is weaker than euros and dollars, but not by any significant amount that it would make high sales in these countries mean nothing. Studios in the West wish that they could get this amount of sales over there in Japan. Sales are sales, and this game sold significantly more than Shadows, and it's even a goddamn shame when you think about it. I mean, Shadows was set in Japan. This game should have been huge over there, and yet the Japanese looked at it and took a shit on it. For good reason, I mean, you know, it is a piece of shit. But anyway, this is just yet another batch of Copium, and for the life of me, I don't get it. Avatar and Star Wars Outlaws, as mid as they are with their own issues, are more entertaining than Shadows, or about as much, I'm not gonna lie. Outlaws is tough. I get very tired of the repetitiveness, and I am struggling to get the story done to make my full video on it. Still, I'd faster go back to that than ever touch Shadows again, and this is also thanks to another thing. If I ever felt like playing Shadows, I have Origins, Odyssey, or Valhalla instead, which are games that do the same but better. But anyway, people didn't do half of what they're doing right now for Shadows to defend either Avatar or Outlaws. And this whole data thing? This is bizarre. In all my years gaming and circling around gaming news circles, mostly just for getting them on my phone, I've never seen something like this. I've never seen a continued effort in trying to make an underperforming game look amazing by taking data and twisting and mangling it to find an angle in which they can report that data in a way that gives them wiggle room to lie. Finding an angle in which the data is read in a favorable way, so that game journalists can take it and lie with just enough wiggle room where they can cover it up, kind of like saying that Shadows has outsold every other new game in 2025, except, you know, it's really only in Europe and under very, very specific conditions, because otherwise it's just back to the same story. But we gotta keep that part in small letters somewhere else in the article, not in the header, not in the first sentences, and definitely not in the posts that go on social media. And that same old story is a weak-ass game trying to pass off player numbers for sales that already hit its peak back in March and plateaued so hard that it took them 4 months to grab a mere 2 million extra players, with a goddamn service that lets everyone on all platforms except Nintendo, for obvious reasons, to just pay $18 to play the game. Honestly, 5 million players isn't even that bad a metric to have. I mean, obviously, it clearly wasn't enough to dig Ubisoft out of the pit that they're in. If anything, it only served to throw them into it, and it's obviously not enough for a renaissance, but it is a nice round number. But I don't think nice round numbers matter anymore. This game has slipped into symbol territory, kind of like Veilguard last year, where nothing but an utter explosive success would do. It needs to be a hit in order for the ideology behind it to survive. It needs to be seen as a symbol of something that is desirable. And of course, in come the misinformation campaigns, blatantly lying, conflating subscription numbers with sales, and of course, warped data analysis like this that take this steaming pile of meh and turn it into one of the most desirable games of the year. Step aside Monster Hunter, step aside Expedition 33, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Oblivion Remaster, Hogwarts Legacy, hell, step aside GTA 5 and so many other solid releases of this year, or games that just sold well regardless. What's truly hot right now is Assassin's Creed Shadows and all the garbage that it stands for. This is what sells, this is what audiences want, so Mr. Investors, please start taking your notes.
Hey, what do you call a Chinese guy with a lot of money? Cha-ching?
Oh, and if you don't think so, well, you're just part of some pointless, unserious minority. A chud, a grifter, and a bigot. Rather than part of the overwhelming amount of players that gave this game a shot and dipped out before even reaching the 10-hour mark. Or the even bigger amount of players that didn't even buy it at all. This is how it goes, this is how the game is played when it comes to symbols like this. At least that's the stage that we're at right now, coping and lying about the reality of the game's impact in the market, culture, and more importantly, the company that made it. It was the same thing with Veilguard for months until EA came out and put it bluntly that the game was a failure, with a bunch of layoffs from BioWare following suit, including the writing team. Ever since then, the media's game plan has changed and it's been no longer about lying in regards to its success and became instead about dishing out blame for its failure. First it was the gamers, then it was the content creators, then it was the gamers again, same as already been done to the Shadows by the way, with accusations that the game is not being criticized for its flaws and is instead a target of a hate campaign. Because of course, how could Shadows ever be criticized? It's such a terrific game, am I right fellas? It's one of the best, it's the best game of the year, it's a return to form for Ubisoft, and well, where have we heard that before? And so now, more recently, the media cope for Veilguard is that BioWare's Mass Effect team and the publisher, EA, are to blame. The devs share no blame at all because the whole thing was out of their hands. If you're interested in that whole rigmarole, please feel free to check out my latest video. I'll drop the link next to the other ones. It goes through the entire thing, exposing all of their lies. I have no idea what's the next stage of media juggling for Shadows, but so far I gotta say, the telenovela has been very interesting. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed the video and that it made up for the tiresome YouTuber guy trend of asking for likes and a comment in the damn intro. I can only hope that YouTube wakes the hell up and fixes this dogshit system, but without the extra support from the community, YouTube buries views, and if views are buried, so are the videos. But anyway, thanks again fellas, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Take care of yourselves.